Hello and welcome to Creator Weekly. I'm Peggy Kay, and this week there are a bunch of updates from YouTube, from Instagram, X. There is a brand new Android extended reality headset that's got some cool tools. There's information for website owners and bloggers. And of course, it's almost Halloween, so of course there's some Halloween related features. So let's get started. The first update I want to talk about this week is a big announcement from YouTube that they are rolling out likeness matching to all creators in the YouTube Partner Program. So this is a system they have to detect AI generated synthetic use of your face in other videos. So to set this up, you go into YouTube Studio and you need to first provide your official ID and a video face scan to YouTube. They need to use this information to find the fake duplicates. Once you have this set up, you can go to the Content Detection tab in YouTube Studio. If you don't have this set up, it will just have copyright matches on that tab. But if you have this likeness detection set up, you will see matches in YouTube Studio. You can then click on one and get more details. And then you can submit a removal request if your likeness was altered or made with AI and you think that the video violates YouTube's privacy guidelines. According to these guidelines, when considering the request, YouTube considers if it's realistic, whether it's disclosed that it's AI, if it's parody or satire, or there's some sort of public interest in keeping it. And there's special protections for public figures. So this is brand new. It will be interesting to see if, even small beans, people like me, end up having some weird fake duplicates. And I'm sure the popular creators are going to really use this. So they get deep fakes all the time, sometimes to sell dubious scams kinds of things. So I want to take a moment and say hi to everybody who's in the live chat. I see Jolyn and Craig and Andrew and Braylon. Welcome very much to all of you. I'd love to hear what you think about this week's updates and anything else you're interested in. So the other update that I'm kind of excited about this week is that YouTube communities are now available on desktop. And previously they were only available in the mobile app. Now you can go to a channel's posts tab, and if there's a view community button, click that, you're in the community, and subscribers can make their own posts there depending on the community settings. Communities are available to all channels with existing access to posts as long as the channel owner is at least 16 years old. So you can turn this on in YouTube Studio on the community tab if you go to the viewer posts tab, or you can turn it on in the mobile app. And the whole point with it is that then your subscribers can make their own posts in your community, maybe foster some discussion there. I have not enabled it for my own channel because I'm not quite sure how to run it. So, I think it's a really interesting idea, but it's going to take some thought about how to manage it. I will also mention that immediately after this show, there's another show I'm hosting, a chat about YouTube's community features. So if you want to learn more about comment moderation and communities and things like that, please check it out. There'll be a redirect at the end of the live stream. So A few smaller updates from YouTube. If you live stream from the mobile app, that gives you a vertical live stream. You can also do landscape, but the default is vertical. There are new smart Q&A stickers that are rolling out. The idea is that you post a Q&A sticker and it kind of sparks discussion, but it can be hard to come up with ideas. So this basically has a little banner there with a suggested Q&A topic, and you can choose to tap to add that, and you can edit it. They say it's an AI-powered, low-friction tool that makes it easy to engage with an audience. There it is. So the other update this week is that Ask YouTube Studio is rolling out more broadly. This is available to some users in the US, and it's an AI chatbot. It lets you ask questions about your channel specifically. You can ask about channel analytics. You can ask about comments. You can ask about video ideas, and they'll be customized for your channel. If you see this in YouTube Studio on desktop, you might give it a spin and see how it works. You cannot escape the chatbots. They are everywhere. YouTube now lets you set a daily time limit for how long you can scroll through shorts in the mobile app. So if you feel like you're getting sucked into shorts, you might want to try this out, and it will put the brakes on it when you reach your time limit. And finally, YouTube is expanding their experiment that lets creators edit videos that violate policy. So this is not all policies. If there's age-restricted videos, certain community guidelines is how they started this out. Now this is expanding to videos that receive a warning for community guidelines issues. The idea is that you edit it and then it's not an issue anymore. There's a couple of limitations. The creator must have access to advanced features, and there's only one fix attempt per video, so you can edit it once and submit it and see if that fixes the problem. And again, it's not all community guidelines issues, but if you have a community guidelines warning or strike, check YouTube Studio to see if this is an option. So it's the last week of October. That means Halloween. I thought about, should I wear a hat today or something? No, I don't have anything interesting. But if you want to make content for Halloween, you might check out TikTok's list of what they call TikToktober prompts. So they have a prompt for every day in October. Even if you're not on TikTok, these could be interesting prompts to give you some ideas. And of course, some of them are Halloween themed. The other Halloween update is Edits. This is the video editing app from Instagram. It's free to use. No watermarks or anything. They added some Halloween features. There are scary sounds, spooky fonts, and they have a restyle option with Halloween restyles. Also, not related to Halloween, they are rolling out improved voiceover recordings so you can do retakes and so forth. It seems like a pretty good app. I've played with it a little bit. It takes some getting used to. But for a completely free app, not bad. Not bad. So if you do edit video on your phone, you may want to check out Edits. A quick update from Twitch. They're making it easier to track your path to partner status on your dashboard. Current requirements are 6 streams on 6 different days, every 30 days for 2 consecutive months, and 75 average viewers for 6 streams each month. That is a mouthful, and you can see why you would need some way to actually track that information. So if you stream on Twitch and you're working towards being a partner, check your dashboard. You'll see more information. And this is a nice update if you are on Instagram. Finally, they let you see your real watch history. Previously, you could watch a bunch of videos and you see something, it looks interesting, and you try to find it again and it's gone forever. You have to remember exactly what you watched, but now you can see your watch history. You go into settings, your activity, watch history, and you can filter by the date and the author. So this is one of those things where it's like, good feature. It should have been there years ago, but good that it is now. So one of the big announcements this week was the Samsung Galaxy XR extended reality headset. Uses the Android XR operating system. So this is sort of a collaboration between Samsung and Google. And there is a lot there. Of course, there are AI features. Gemini's there. You can do circle to search. You can go into the special Maps app and ask questions, all those kinds of things. But I wanted to highlight a couple updates that are kind of more on the creative side. First off, you can watch YouTube videos. It's immersive. It's really great for 360 videos and VR videos and even 3D videos, supposedly. Interesting that 360-degree video launched 10 years ago, and there was a big push in 2015. I feel like that's sort of coming back now. It'll be interesting to see if this catches on. If you use Google Photos, you can convert your 2D Google Photo images, which is normal Google Photo images, to 3D. So the subjects of the photo kind of pop out and it kind of moves around. You can see it's like you're in the immersive environment of these goggles. I don't know. It's kind of a gimmick. I wouldn't buy the goggles based on that, but it looks pretty good, at least in the demo. And then, of course, you can attach or at least link a regular physical keyboard and do things like, write out a report in Google Docs, real exciting stuff, but it gives you the visibility like it's a giant screen. You can set up whatever environment you want. It's not something I would ever use, but apparently some people like that. But I think one of the things that seems really cool is Project Pulsar. This is from Adobe, and it is an app for this headset and other headsets, I think. It lets you edit videos and photos with three-dimensional depth, and you can do layered cinematic effects, do text effects. You can have text running behind the subject, rotoscope titles, and you don't need any visual effects skills. This is all built into the app. So this seems like a pretty cool use if you're into creating these more, I think of it as experimental, but maybe it's not really, videos for these headsets you can make on the headset. And it's a bit experimental still when it has project in the title. There's also an app called Concepts that you can use for sketching and illustration. So this headset is really aimed at competing with the Apple Vision Quest. Vision Quest, that's what it's called? I can't even remember now. Apple's fancy headset. This headset is something like $1,800, but that's half the price of the Apple headset. So it's competing with that, and not so much like the Meta Quest headset, which is a lot cheaper, but it's more focused on gaming. Will it catch on? I don't know. It seems awfully expensive, and I'm not really a fan of wearing headsets, so it's not for me, probably. But it will be interesting to see where this goes. They say they're also working on glasses. Now, to me, this is a lot more exciting. It's a lot more comfortable to wear. And you can think of a lot of real world uses where you're wearing glasses that have basically an overlay with reality. Imagine you were in another country and you could see information about translation, or if it's like the glasses Meta has, they'd be little speakers there. It could even talk to you. So it'll be interesting to see where all this goes. So I'm switching gears completely here. Something that is kind of interesting. X is basically going to be renting desirable handles that are no longer in active use. It's not quite clear how they define that, if they're just going to be taking interesting handles. But the basics are you have to have a Premium Plus subscription or the right business subscription, and then you can request certain handles. The catch is that if you cancel your Premium Plus subscription, you lose this new handle and you go back to your original handle, which seems not great. So you're basically paying for it forever. There's two different kinds of handles. There's priority handles. This is often full names, multi-word phrases, alphanumeric combinations. There's some examples there like Gabriel Jones, things like that. You can request these priority handles. Again, you have to have a premium subscription. There's also rare handles. These are short, generic words like pizza, for example. If you want that handle really bad, you're going to have to wait until there's a drop. And if there's a drop of the handle, then people can apply for it. Also, certain handles, super rare ones, are going to essentially be invite only. People will be invited to pay for it, and they're saying it could cost thousands of dollars up to more than 7 figures. That's more than $1 million for a handle. And those that you pay a huge amount of money for apparently are not removed if you stop your Premium Plus subscription. I don't understand this at all, but I guess there is a market for popular handles already. This is X getting their cut. I think the big question is, how do they define inactive handles? And if they're going to start basically taking handles away from people who aren't posting enough or something. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm going to say hi to the other folks who just joined the chat. Welcome. Kristen, Cruising with Kristen asks about the glasses. I'm kind of curious with the glasses, what happens when they get wet? That's a great question. My guess is that nothing good, but we'll learn more as people actually use these devices. And Jolyn says it's definitely interesting. I sure do miss Google Glass. Yes, but I think, there's a real potential for this to be better than Google Glass. Google Glass was kind of ahead of its time, primitive in a lot of its features. So if they have, real glasses with much better visuals and connections and so forth, it could be kind of exciting. And yeah, Craig says he's used to wearing glasses. I also am used to wearing glasses. I guess some people hate it, but I don't even really notice anymore, except when I'm not wearing them, I can't really see. So Andrew says, switching to the X handles, the most expensive handle would be Sundar. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of jockeying around individual names, for example, and generic terms. Like I can see having the term pizza, handle, that probably gives you a lot of popularity just because it's a common word. Is it worth $1 million? That I don't know. So we shall see. Craig says, I'll pay for Donald Trump at Donald Trump, but not $1 million. Yeah, I'm not sure you would want the attention for that necessarily. All right, there's a few other updates this week. Facebook has a new feature that will suggest edits and collages of your images that you have not shared yet. To do that, you need to give Facebook access to the camera roll on your device and agree to cloud processing, which is getting into kind of creepy territory. Again, these are your private photos on your phone that you have not ever shared. Meta says, we don't use media from your camera roll to improve AI at Meta unless you choose to edit this media with our AI tools or share. So yeah, if you actually use it, it sounds like they could use your photos for their AI training. I'm certainly not going to turn it on. I think it sounds like a bad idea. So I wanted to make a couple of updates about more web-related things. Uh, I think that this is an interesting and kind of sad update. Google completely killed their privacy sandbox. And what is that? So the idea is that third-party cookies can be really intrusive and affect your privacy. They are used a lot by advertisers to track you across the web so they can show you ads. So Google came up with this privacy sandbox. It's a way of collecting information in a way that preserves privacy while still letting advertisers have some interest-based information. Apparently, it hasn't been widely adopted. I think there's a lot of hesitation for companies and businesses that are not Google to invest in something like this, which is clearly a Google initiative. But basically, they're killing this. And earlier this year, Google announced they would not be blocking third-party cookies in Chrome by default. They're kind of abandoning that. So long live third-party cookies, I guess. They're still blocked in Safari and Firefox, I think, by default. On Tumblr, this is like a social sharing, blogging platform. They're going to start showing ads. I think this is not entirely surprising. It's got to make money somehow. Tumblr is currently owned by Automatic. That's the same company that owns WordPress.com, not WordPress.org, except that WordPress.org is managed by Automatic. So there's a lot of funny business in there. Basically, if you have a Tumblr blog that uses the tumblr.com domain, they're going to start showing an ad like at the bottom of posts. This does not affect blogs that have custom domains, and it does not affect blogs from premium subscribers. And if you're a premium subscriber, you won't see any of these ads. It doesn't seem like necessarily a completely bad thing. Not fun. Nobody loves ads, but it does help keep the service running. And along those lines, this is the 25th anniversary of Google Ads, formerly called AdWords. Again, nobody loves ads except maybe Google, but I will say that the whole ecosystem that Google set up with Google Ads, selling ads to advertisers, and then the publisher network that lets you put ads on your blog or website or show ads on your YouTube channel, I think that's driven a lot of creativity over the years. It's not as good as it used to be, but I think it really helped shape the web a lot because it allowed bloggers and websites and video creators to actually get a little money when they created and published their content. So I think this is a significant milestone. So Now, I'm just going to finish up with a quick diversion. What was happening 10 years ago? I'm celebrating 10 years of my Creator Workly newsletter. Looking back at 2015, everything old is new again, as they say. So 10 years ago this week, Google announced RankBrain. This was Google's first AI system for search ranking. And RankBrain helps the system understand how words are related to concepts. This is a big deal. The example Google used is if you search for title of the consumer at the highest level of a food chain, the system understands that a food chain is probably about animals, not about people. So it's not talking about human consumers, but it's really talking about what you'd call an apex predator. So basically, this AI system helps understand what people are asking about and can help match relevant search results, even if the exact wording is not used. Previously, in Google's original search, it was looking for specific words, not concepts, not phrases, not ideas. So, as some people put it, RankBrain looks at things rather than strings, meaning a string of text. So, this was actually a really significant milestone. And at the time, this is actually in 2016, they told Wired magazine that RankBrain is involved in every query and affects the actual rankings, probably not in every query, but in a lot of queries. And of the hundreds of signals Google Search uses when it calculates rankings, RankBrain was now rated as the third most useful signal. So that's a really, really huge update. Now, of course, here we are. Since then, they've added a number of other AI systems for search results. There's neural matching that was added in 2018. That helps understand fuzzier concepts and queries and match them to pages. In 2019, Google added a neural network-based technique for natural language processing pre-training called bidirectional encoder representations from transformers. That is a huge mouthful. Everyone calls it BERT, B-E-R-T, BERT. And then in 2022, they added multitask unified model. That's capable of both understanding and generating language. And they call it MUM, of course, M-U-M. It's useful for things like featured snippets, and it was used for certain specific queries like looking for COVID-related information. So all of those systems are still in use. And of course, there's new AI systems to create AI overviews and AI mode searches that uses this fanning out technique with multiple queries running at the same time. So the start of it all was RankBrain way back in 2015. And of course, SEOs, search engine optimizers, want to know how to optimize for all of these different AI systems. How do you optimize for RankBrain? How do you optimize for BERT? How do you optimize for AI overviews? And the answer has basically been the same from Google this entire time. They say, make web pages for people. These systems are just better at understanding those pages. So that's what's happening. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Great discussion. And I hope to see you all next Sunday. Thank you for joining me.